Have you ever stood in a crowded room, surrounded by laughter, chatter, and clinking glasses, yet felt a deep, unshakable aloneness? Not because you despise the people around you, but because you sense that beneath all the pleasantries, something is missing. Every smile feels rehearsed, every exchange feels scripted, and every conversation schemes the surface without ever diving into the depths. It's not a loneliness born from lack of company. It's the quiet recognition that most human interaction is performance, a shallow rhythm that keeps us busy but rarely nourishes us. If you've felt this, you've stepped into the very heart of Arthur Schopenhauer's philosophy. Schopenhauer, often branded the philosopher of pessimism, did not merely endure solitude, he embraced it as a higher state of being. To him, withdrawing from social life was not a failure of personality, but a natural and intelligent choice. The sharper the mind, the more clearly it sees through the illusions woven into everyday life. Small talk, social rituals, polite lies, these are not harmless distractions, they are veils between us and truth. And for the one who values truth above comfort, such veils are intolerable. The unbearable performance of ordinary life. Schopenhauer was not against human connection itself. Rather, he was against the counterfeit forms it so often takes. In his view, the majority of social interaction is not about authentic exchange but about ego maintenance. People strive to appear witty, impressive, desirable, or important, not to understand, but to be admired. The intelligent mind grows weary of this constant theater. Once you notice the script, you can't unsee it. You begin to observe how people wait for their turn to speak instead of listening, how compliments are laced with competition, how laughter is used as a currency for belonging. And with this awareness, participation becomes exhausting, because it demands that you knowingly act out a role you no longer believe in. This is not snobbery, it's disillusionment. And disillusionment, in Schopenhauer's philosophy, is not a loss, it's a gain. It's the peeling back of appearances to confront reality as it is. The more unintelligent a man is. Schopenhauer famously wrote, the more unintelligent a man is, the less mysterious existence seems to him. This is a deceptively simple line with profound implications. Shallow minds accept life at face value, they're content with the surface, satisfied with the obvious. But for those cursed, or blessed, with deeper perception, surface life is never enough. To think deeply is to notice the cracks in the facade, to see that the dance of social life rarely touches the real questions: why are we here? What is the nature of suffering? What, if anything, gives existence meaning? For the thinking mind, shallow conversation is not simply boring, it's a form of noise, an interruption to the far more urgent work of contemplating existence itself. Solitude, not loneliness, but wholeness. In Schopenhauer's view, solitude is the natural habitat of the awakened mind. Alone, the intelligent person is not deprived, they are restored. Solitude is where the mind stops performing and starts being. It's where reading is deep, thought is unhurried, and the self is free from the constant pressure to adapt to other people's expectations. The rejection of social life, for such a mind, is not escapism, it's graduation. It's the refusal to trade one's inner world for the hollow currency of social approval. Most people fear solitude because they fear themselves. Left alone, they must face the raw truth of their own thoughts without distraction. For many, that's unbearable. But for the thinking person, solitude is a sanctuary. It is the only environment where self-exploration can truly happen. Intelligence and the burden of awareness. Yet solitude comes with a price, awareness. Schopenhauer saw intelligence and suffering as inseparable companions. To know more is to feel more, and to feel more deeply is often to suffer more profoundly. At the root of this suffering is what he called the will, a blind, restless force that drives all living things to constant striving. Fulfill one desire, and another springs up. No satisfaction is ever final, no peace is ever permanent. Most people live this cycle without questioning it, mistaking it for the natural rhythm of life. But the intelligent mind sees it for what it is, a treadmill that never stops. This recognition strips away comforting illusions. The happy distractions that sustain most people, chasing status, seeking approval, clinging to possessions, lose their power. In their place comes a sharper vision of impermanence, fragility, and the inevitability of loss. This clarity is not depression, it's truth. And truth, by nature, is often uncomfortable. Pain as a path to freedom. But Schopenhauer also believed that the very awareness that causes suffering can liberate us. Once you see that the endless striving of the will is the root of your unrest, you can step off the treadmill. You can begin to detach, not from life itself, but from the illusions about what life should give you. In this way, suffering becomes a kind of purification. It burns away the trivial, leaving only what is essential. The intelligent person, stripped of illusions, learns to live not for applause but for authenticity. Detachment, the quiet rebellion. Schopenhauer's rebellion was not political but personal. It began with the radical act of refusing to play by the crowd's rules. He saw that the crowd is not evil, merely blind, moved by instinct, custom, and the will. The pressure to conform is relentless, to chase the same goals, speak the same way, and value the same things. The intelligent person resists. They step off the stage, letting the performance go on without them. They choose values rooted in inner stability rather than public approval. They define success not by how many know their name, but by how deeply they know themselves. This kind of detachment is not indifference, it's sovereignty. It's living by your own compass while the rest of the world orbits its idols. The sacred power of chosen solitude. In a society that prizes connection above all, the one who withdraws is easily misunderstood. They may be seen as cold, arrogant, or broken. Schopenhauer saw them differently, as the ones most alive on the inside. When you are always surrounded by others, you are always adjusting, calibrating your words, postures, and thoughts to fit the room. Over time, you risk forgetting the unshaped self beneath those adjustments. Solitude interrupts this erosion. It returns you to your unadorned, original self. Schopenhauer wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free." This is the paradox. The world teaches us that freedom is about movement, options, and endless interaction. Schopenhauer argues that true freedom is stillness, the freedom to exist without performance or permission. Solitude is not meant to be a permanent exile, it's a home you return to. It's the crucible where you remember who you are before stepping back into the noise. And once you've touched that stillness, you carry it with you. You can stand in a crowd without losing yourself, speak without needing to be heard, and engage without being consumed. Perhaps the deepest question Schopenhauer leaves us with is this: what would you discover if you allowed yourself to be fully alone, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually? Because in that quiet, you may find that you are not withdrawing from life at all. You are finally meeting it, without disguise, without performance, and without illusion. And in that meeting, you are no longer a product of the world. You become the creator of your own meaning. Modern society through Schopenhauer's eyes. Imagine if Schopenhauer could see the world today: endless notifications, curated online personas, conversations reduced to bite-sized fragments of text. In his time, he lamented the superficiality of face-to-face interactions. What would he say about a world where even our solitude is invaded by a constant feed of others' thoughts, filtered and polished for public approval? We are more connected than ever, yet the connections are thinner, faster, and often more performative. Every status update is a tiny audition for attention. Every shared opinion is calculated for likes, retweets, and applause. Schopenhauer would recognize this not as a triumph of human communication, but as a deepening of the very disease he diagnosed. Life as theater, with fewer breaks between acts. And the intelligent mind, now as in his day, feels the weariness sooner. Social life has not only remained a stage, it has become a stage that follows you into your pocket, your bedroom, your moments of supposed rest. The craving for approval is now digitized, quantified, and endlessly fed. The awakened individual begins to see the cost: privacy traded for attention, authenticity traded for performance, and inner peace traded for the restless need to be seen. Schopenhauer's rejection of social life was not a rejection of people, it was a refusal to participate in this endless barter where the self is the currency. The courage to step away. To step away from the performance requires courage. Society rewards visibility, not withdrawal. It praises those who are networked, in the loop, always available. Stepping back can feel like stepping into obscurity, into a silence so deep it makes others uncomfortable. Yet Schopenhauer would argue that obscurity is not a loss, it is a return. The intelligent person chooses not to compete in the endless race for recognition because they've realized the prize is hollow. What is public approval worth if it costs you your peace? What is being, in demand, worth if it leaves you unable to think deeply, to create, to live by your own rhythm? The rejection of social life is not an escape from reality, it's a refusal to be trapped in a false one. It's not about disappearing, it's about reappearing in your own life, no longer blurred by the constant movement of the crowd. The inner feast. Schopenhauer believed that the inner world, when cultivated, could be richer than any external amusement. Books, music, philosophy, art, these are not mere distractions but gateways into realities deeper than the visible one. In solitude, the intelligent mind throws a feast for itself. It wanders through ideas as one might wander through gardens, finding nourishment in contemplation and beauty in the unhurried unfolding of thought. Contrast this with the crowded banquet of society, where the noise drowns out the taste of the food, and the main activity is not eating but being seen eating. In solitude, you are not performing enjoyment, you are actually enjoying. The tragic irony of awareness. But there is an irony here, one Schopenhauer understood well: the same awareness that makes solitude blissful also makes life's illusions unbearable. You cannot, once awakened, fully return to the easy satisfactions of the crowd. The conversations that once entertained you now feel hollow. The ambitions that once motivated you now seem vain. The pleasures that once absorbed you now appear fleeting. This creates a kind of exile, not enforced from without, but chosen from within. You remain among others physically, but your mind inhabits a quieter, truer space. You are, in a sense, a citizen of two worlds, the external one of appearances, and the internal one of truth. And the older you grow, the more you dwell in the latter. Detachment as mastery. For Schopenhauer, the highest mastery was not over others, but over oneself. This mastery begins with detachment. Detachment is not the absence of feeling, it is the refusal to be ruled by desire or fear. It's the clear understanding that status, wealth, and even love are transient. It's the ability to participate in the world without being swallowed by it. The detached individual can engage in conversation without needing to win, can enjoy company without fearing solitude, and can walk away from opportunities that cost more peace than they're worth. This is the freedom Schopenhauer spoke of, not the political freedom to move and act as you please, but the inner freedom to remain whole no matter where you are or who you are with. The misunderstood solitary. The world will misunderstand those who choose solitude. It will call them antisocial, arrogant, bitter, or afraid. But Schopenhauer would answer, these judgments say more about the accuser than the accused. People fear solitude because it reveals the truth of themselves. To sit in silence without distraction is, for many, to encounter the emptiness they have been running from. No wonder they seek constant company, it is not people they crave, but escape from the self. The solitary person does not reject others out of hate, they simply do not need them as a shield. Their relationship with themselves is not adversarial, but sustaining. Carrying solitude into the world. True solitude is portable. Once you've cultivated it, you carry it with you into conversations, workplaces, even crowded streets. It becomes a kind of invisible armor, a calm self-possession that prevents the noise of the world from drowning out your inner voice. You can stand in a crowd and remain untouched by its frenzy. You can be praised without being inflated, criticized without being diminished. You can listen without needing to speak, and speak without needing to impress. This is the ultimate fruit of Schopenhauer's philosophy, to be in the world, yet not of it. To participate, yet remain free. The final turn inward. In the end, Schopenhauer's intelligent rejection of social life is not a withdrawal into emptiness, it's a pilgrimage toward essence. It's the recognition that the most important conversations you will ever have are with yourself. The crowd's noise will fade, the applause will die down, the roles you've played will be forgotten. But what you discover in solitude, your truth, your peace, your meaning, will remain. Perhaps the real question is not why withdraw from society, but why give it so much of yourself to begin with? Because once you have tasted the stillness of your own mind, the world's performance feels less like life and more like a distraction from it. And so, like Schopenhauer, you may find that solitude is not where life ends, but where it finally begins.